At the close of the 19th century, the world was undergoing vast and rapid change. The Industrial Revolution had transformed economies and societies, bringing new technologies, factories, and wealth, but also unprecedented challenges. Amid this upheaval, a growing divide emerged. On the one side stood a small number of wealthy capitalists. On the other, the vast majority of working people, often laboring under harsh and unjust conditions. Tensions grew, fueled by revolutionary ideas and social unrest. Governments, workers, and employers struggled to find solutions. Into this turbulent scene stepped Pope Leo XIII. In 1891, he issued an important letter known as Rerum Novarum, Latin for "of new things." This encyclical addressed the condition of the working classes and offered guidance grounded in Christian teaching. It recognized the pains and inequities of the age, but called for justice, dignity, and cooperation among all members of society. Today, we explore Rerum Novarum, a landmark document that shaped Catholic social teaching and still resonates more than a century later. The working class of the late 19th century faced tremendous hardship. Many suffered from poverty, long hours, unsafe conditions, and lack of protections. Traditional institutions like guilds, which once safeguarded workers' rights, had disappeared. The competition for jobs was fierce, and many workers struggled just to provide for their families. This led to a growing conflict between capital and labor, between wealthy employers and the men and women who toiled in factories and fields. Some believed that this conflict was natural, that the rich and poor are meant to be enemies. But Rerum Novarum teaches otherwise. Just as the parts of the body depend on each other, so too must capital and labor live in harmony for the good of society. Yet, with the absence of proper protections, workers were vulnerable to exploitation, while owners feared loss and instability. The result was widespread unrest, injustice, and social turmoil. In Rerum Novarum, Pope Leo XIII speaks from the perspective of the Church, rooted in faith, morality, and the natural law. He affirms the dignity of every human person and insists that every man has a natural and sacred right to his own property, to the fruit of his labor, and to provide for his family. The Pope warns against false promises of a life free from pain or trouble, calling instead for a realistic view of the world and a Christian approach to its problems. The Church recognizes the right and responsibility of both capital and labor. Wealth and property are not evil in themselves, nor is labor to be undervalued. Both must work together, respecting mutual duties and justice to maintain the balance of society. Furthermore, the Church emphasizes that lasting solutions depend on renewing Christian morals and the faith of individuals, the root from which justice and charity must grow. Through her teachings and pastoral care, the Church offers a path of hope, urging harmony, cooperation, and respect for the rights and dignity of all. Rerum Novarum lays out several fundamental teachings that guide the relationship between capital and labor. First, every person has the right to private ownership of property. This right is natural, sacred, and essential, distinguishing humans from animals and enabling self-direction and responsibility. Second, the state has a role, not to control or replace the family or individuals, but to ensure justice is upheld and to protect the rights of all, especially the vulnerable. Third, unjust laws that violate right reason are not true laws, but acts of violence against justice. Laws must be rooted in natural law and aligned with eternal law. The Encyclical also stresses charity and moral duty. Love is patient and enduring, seeking the good of others without selfishness. And lastly, the Church calls all parties, workers, employers, and rulers to cooperate proactively, each fulfilling their duties to restore social harmony and justice. These principles form a clear framework: respect for rights and duties, support for the common good, and a foundation in Christian morality. Rerum Novarum was groundbreaking in its time and continues to influence social teaching today. Pope Leo XIII directly addresses the urgent social conflict of his day, the growing divide between the wealthy few and the impoverished many. the unrest among working classes, and the moral decay affecting society. The Encyclical calls for immediate action, rulers to legislate just laws, employers to respect the dignity of workers, and the workers to fulfill their duties lawfully and patiently. At the heart of the solution lies the renewal of Christian morals and faith, which alone can uproot selfishness and injustice. This document laid the foundation for modern Catholic social teaching, inspiring movement for workers' rights, fair wages, and social welfare. Its call for balance, justice, and charity remains a vital guide as societies continue to wrestle with the challenges of capital and labor. In Rerum Novarum, Pope Leo XIII offers timeless principles rooted in justice, human dignity, and charity. He reminds us that true social harmony arises when rights are respected, duties fulfilled, and Christian morals guide our actions. The Church's call to action urges all workers, employers, rulers, and faithful to unite and build a fairer society where no one is exploited or left behind. Over a century later, Rerum Novarum remains a beacon, inspiring ongoing efforts towards social justice and the dignity of work in the modern world.